Today, we're diving into The Art of Saying No by Damon Zahariades, a powerful guide to reclaiming control of your life. Have you ever felt overwhelmed by saying yes to every request that comes your way? Or found yourself burdened by obligations that drain your energy and time? In a world that constantly demands more, learning to say no might just be one of the most important skills you can develop. Imagine this. Every time you agree to something you don't truly want to do, you're effectively saying no to yourself. You're saying no to your personal time, to your goals, and to your well-being. This book isn't about being rude or inconsiderate. It's about setting boundaries that respect your time and energy. It's about learning to put yourself first, without guilt. In this summary, we'll explore why saying no is not just acceptable, it's essential. You'll discover how mastering this skill can empower you to focus on what truly matters and free yourself from the burden of endless obligations. By the end, you'll have actionable strategies to help you say no confidently and without regret, so you can finally start saying yes to yourself. Let's begin. The people-pleasing habit. What makes someone a good person in your eyes? Is it simply their willingness to help others at any moment? Are good people always dependable, always putting others' needs first? Sure, they might be, but there's often more behind this helpful nature. Some people carry a hidden trait. They are people pleasers. Author Damon Zahariades was one of those individuals who sought happiness by keeping others happy. Whenever someone asked for his help, his default response was yes. Damon was always available, and people loved him for it. But eventually, this habit left him feeling drained and unhappy. Each time he said yes to others, he was essentially saying no to himself. He had no time left for his own needs and was pouring his time, energy, and even money into others. For example, when he was in college, Damon owned a pickup truck, and soon enough he found himself acting as a mover for his friends. They expected him to help transport their things, and Damon often canceled his own plans to do so. Before long, he began to feel resentful. So how did Damon finally break free from his people-pleasing habit? First, he took a step back to reflect. He realized that if he continued to prioritize others' needs, he'd never have time to focus on his own. The truth is, only you can fulfill your own needs. No one else will do it for you. Putting others first all the time only builds frustration and resentment. Damon reached a point where he began to resent the very people he cared about, which even affected his mental health. Over time, however, he came to an important realization. He could still help others, but he needed to prioritize himself first. Wanting to make others happy isn't a bad thing. You can still be there for others while taking care of your own happiness. It just requires thinking about your needs first. Think of it like the instructions given on a flight. In an emergency, put on your own oxygen mask before helping others. If you prioritize someone else's mask before your own, you risk hypoxia, a dangerous lack of oxygen in your body. Similarly, taking care of yourself first makes you stronger and more capable of supporting others. The second step Damon took was to learn assertiveness, the confidence to communicate his needs and boundaries clearly. Assertiveness is a skill everyone should develop. It means expressing what you need confidently, even if it's not popular. For example, if you're discussing politics with a friend who has a completely different view, being assertive allows you to share your perspective without expecting them to agree. Saying no requires this level of assertiveness. Finally, Damon understood why saying no had always been so hard for him. Many people think it should be simple to decline requests. How hard can it be to say one word? But Damon realized that the real challenge wasn't in saying no itself. It was dealing with the guilt and regret that followed. He often felt guilty, even when saying no was in his best interest. In the end, Damon learned that by setting boundaries, he was not only protecting his well-being, but also fostering more honest and respectful relationships. Reasons we struggle to say no. Why is saying no so challenging? Understanding the reasons behind this struggle can help you stop blaming yourself and recognize that setting boundaries is both necessary and okay. One major reason people hesitate to say no is social conditioning. Many of us are raised to believe that refusing someone is rude. You might worry that saying no will offend or hurt others, imagining their disappointment or anger. But remember, there's nothing wrong with setting limits. Prioritizing your own needs isn't selfish, especially if you're already managing a lot. If someone takes your refusal personally, that's on them. They're failing to respect that you have your own priorities. As long as you're polite, there's no reason to feel guilty about saying no. Another common reason is low self-esteem. Many people struggle with an inner critic that constantly feeds them self-doubt, convincing them that they are less worthy than others. When self-doubt is strong, you may start believing that your needs and desires aren't as important. You might think that helping others will make you feel valuable, or that it's the only way to find a sense of worth. But this is a misconception. Your value isn't defined by how much you do for others. You deserve respect and the opportunity to pursue your own goals. Prioritizing yourself is not only acceptable, it's essential. A third reason people struggle to say no is fear of conflict or confrontation. Damon, the author, often found himself saying yes when he wanted to say no, simply to avoid an uncomfortable situation. He didn't want anyone to dislike him, and this fear led him to agree to things he didn't want to do. But it's impossible to please everyone, and striving to do so can leave you feeling exhausted and resentful. When someone is disappointed by your refusal, that's okay. If you constantly say yes when you mean no, you give others power over your emotions and neglect your own well-being. Overcoming the habit of saying yes all the time takes practice, and Damon tackled it step by step. He started by practicing saying no in low-stakes situations where he didn't fear confrontation. For instance, when passing by salespeople in a store, he politely declined their offers for products he didn't need. Just like a muscle, your ability to say no strengthens the more you use it. Gradually, you'll find yourself able to say no, not only to strangers, but also to family, friends, and colleagues. The more you practice, the easier it becomes. Over time, you'll build the confidence to set healthy boundaries without guilt. 10 strategies for saying no without feeling guilty. 1. Be direct and straightforward. When someone asks for help, avoid vague responses like, "I'm not sure if I'll have time." Instead, be clear and direct. "I'm sorry, but I don't have the time to help right now." A straightforward answer shows respect and doesn't leave room for negotiation or guilt. 2. Don't ask for more time. If you already know your answer is no, avoid delaying by asking for more time. Delay can create false hope and lead to disappointment when you finally refuse. Plus, postponing wastes energy on indecisions. If your answer is no, say it promptly. 3. Use alternative phrasing. If someone might react negatively to a simple no, rephrase your response. For example, instead of saying, "I can't," you could say, "I would love to help, but I have a deadline I need to meet." This shows that you have genuine commitments without sounding dismissive. 4. Stop making excuses. Giving reasons can sometimes lead others to question or push your excuses. Avoid making detailed excuses that might invite further discussion. Politely and respectfully decline without justifying your decision, keeping your response simple and clear. 5. Take responsibility for your decision. Instead of saying, "I can't," say, "I don't want to," or "I can't." When you say, "I can't," it may sound like you lack control over your decision. Saying, "I don't want to," shows that you're making an intentional choice and reinforces your boundaries. 6. Suggest they ask again later. If someone urgently needs help but you're busy, suggest a follow-up. For instance, if a coworker asks for assistance when you're swamped, say, "I can't help right now, but if you still need assistance later, feel free to ask again." This shows willingness while prioritizing your tasks. 7. Avoid lying about your availability. While it might be tempting to make up an excuse, honesty is always the best policy. Instead of inventing reasons, be truthful. For example, if you're tired and don't want to drive, say, "I'm planning to rest and would prefer not to drive today." Being honest fosters self-respect and avoids future complications. 8. Offer an alternative option. If you want to help but can't fully commit, suggest another way they could get support. For instance, if your friend needs help with a research paper but you're too busy, recommend someone else who might be available. This shows that you care, but reminds them of your own limits. 9. Refer to someone more qualified. Sometimes, someone else might be better suited to help. If a friend asks for feedback on a novel, for instance, you might suggest someone with more experience. This isn't about rejecting them. It's about guiding them to the best support possible. 10. Explain your limited bandwidth. Damon, the author, uses this approach frequently. When his friend asked him to help find a rental home, Damon had to say no because he had a packed schedule. Showing his friend his daily commitments helped illustrate that he genuinely didn't have the time. Explaining your limited bandwidth can help others understand that your refusal isn't personal. You're simply balancing your priorities. These strategies allow you to say no with confidence, helping you protect your time and well-being without unnecessary guilt. Bonus strategies for saying no without guilt. Here are 3 additional strategies to help you say no confidently and stand by your decision. 1. Stand firm in your decision. Some people simply won't take no for an answer. They might keep pushing, trying to persuade you to change your mind. When this happens, remind yourself that their persistence is not your responsibility. It's their issue, not yours. Politely but firmly restate your decision. For example, say, "I understand you need help, but I really can't commit right now." You might also suggest they reach out to someone else who could assist. Standing your ground shows respect for your boundaries, no matter how persistent others may be. 2. Maintain politeness and respect. It can be frustrating when someone ignores your boundaries, but it's essential to stay polite. Losing patience might feel tempting, but how you respond reflects on you, not on them. Keep saying no kindly and respectfully, showing that while you respect their needs, you're committed to your own decisions. This gentle but firm approach leaves no room for confusion and allows you to maintain your integrity. 3. The fear of missing out. The fear of missing out often leads us to say yes to things we don't truly want to do. We worry that by declining an opportunity, whether a potential promotion, a social event, or something exciting, we're missing out. But remember, just because an opportunity arises doesn't mean you have to take it. Consider the time, energy, and cost involved, and ask yourself if saying yes is worth it. Over time, this fear will fade as you realize that each no keeps you focused on what truly matters to you. These bonus strategies can help you navigate even the toughest requests, reinforcing your boundaries while respecting others. By standing firm, staying polite, and overcoming FOMO, you'll feel more empowered with each no you say. Conclusion. Embracing the art of saying no. To wrap up, let's review the key lessons from the art of saying no. 1. Let go of people-pleasing. Saying yes to everyone often means saying no to your own needs. This habit can drain your time, energy, and even financial resources. Recognizing this is the first step toward reclaiming control of your life. 2. Be clear and direct. A straightforward no signals that you're prioritizing yourself, which isn't about disrespecting others. It's about valuing your own well-being. 3. Understand the challenges of saying no. Recognizing why saying no feels difficult, whether due to social conditioning, fear of conflict, or low self-esteem, helps you better address your own struggles. 4. Use practical strategies. Approach refusals with honesty. Avoid making excuses, and stand firm in your decisions. If you genuinely want to help but can't, offer an alternative. Maintaining politeness and composure in these situations reinforces your integrity and helps avoid frustration. Standing up for yourself isn't always easy, especially if you're used to putting others first. While pleasing others might bring short-term satisfaction, it's unsustainable. Prioritizing your own needs doesn't make you selfish, it makes you resilient. By taking care of yourself, you practice self-respect, empowering you to live a balanced, fulfilling life. Thank you for engaging with this summary of The Art of Saying No by Damon Zahariades. Remember, Learning to say no is about saying yes to yourself and to what truly matters. If you feel inspired to take control of your time and boundaries, start with small steps. And for more insights on creating a life aligned with your values, consider subscribing for more book summaries and life-changing advice. Until next time, keep setting boundaries and make space for what truly matters.